You've been seeking answers from every dermatologist, doctor, and all over the internet wondering what on earth this unbearable skin issue is. You know something's up, and you've been suffering and silenced for far too long. This podcast is going to bring awareness to the brutal reality that is topical steroid addiction and withdrawal syndrome. It will give you practical mental and physical tips to help you along your journey and provide you the strength you need to push through each day. You'll hear from real people battling this illness, as well as experts in the field, and I'm also going to share with you what's happening as I battle and conquer TSW. You are not alone, you're not crazy, and you will heal. If there's one thing I know, it's that anyone going through this hell is a warrior. My name is Jennifer Powers, and I welcome you to TSW Journey to Healing. It's May, and that means it is Mental Health Awareness Month. May is such a beautiful time of the year over here on the East Coast. I don't know where you are listening around the world to this show, but it is springtime here in the Northeast, and that means beautiful trees blooming. It makes our mood naturally get better from those cold, dark, gloomy winter months. It also can mean some serious stress and anxiety. Why? Because it's allergy season, because there's pollen out there, there's lots of triggers that can cause inflammation, cause our stress and anxiety to shoot through the roof, because when we think of allergies and we think of itchiness, when we think of going outside in warmer weather, it also means less clothing that shows more skin. So there's so much that I want to unpack in this episode for you. But first, I just really want to ask you, are you doing a mental health check-in? It's something that is so important for every single person on this planet, but especially those of us that suffer with eczema and TSW. This is such an unbearable and brutal condition, which is the entire purpose of this show, that it is so critical that we do a self-check. We check in on ourselves. We check in on our loved ones. We even ask our support system if we feel comfortable and at the place in life where we can do this, where we ask them to check in, give us a mental check-in. It's always great to have that accountability and just know that you have people in your corner that are really always looking out for you and your best interests and your healing. So with that, I want to dive into this episode, and I want to start by saying that this condition, it doesn't just mean that we're suffering with these uncontrollable, super uncomfortable, most of the times unbearable external symptoms. Because while our skin looks so unhappy on the outside, so irritated, so red and raw and ripped wide open, we also have to pull back all those layers and go far inside to where a lot of our issues are, which is inside, internal, in our brain, in our mood, in the fear, the deep-rooted fears that we have. Some of those fears are fear of clothes, right? Clothing, because we're afraid that clothing will give us some irritation, right? If our skin isn't liking polyester or satin or, spandex, and it's only like cotton, but we're feeling a little bit better. We're thinking it's springtime. We're thinking it's whatever time of the year, and we want to try to put on some clothes, some different kinds of clothes. We have that fear. Okay. We also have the fear of, like I mentioned earlier, the fear of wearing less clothing and bearing it all for the world to see. Sometimes we use clothing as a cover up, as a way to shield the outside world from really seeing what we have going on. And it's serious, and it's a real deep fear. And then we have the panic of just feeling out of control, right? Like we don't have control over this thing at all. And anything can happen at any given moment of any given day. And that causes major stress. And then we have the worry of whether this is going to get maybe way worse before it even gets better. We have constant anxiety about what, what's going to make us itch, what it's going to make us feel paranoid. We're afraid of touching things. We're afraid of putting things on. We're afraid of all the things. The list goes on and on and on. And so eczema and TSW is absolutely not just a rash. In fact, we're going to start a huge movement here. I can't wait until I get some merch out for you, stickers, totes, apparel. Even if you just printed yourself some flyers or something and stuck it everywhere, or just even spoken the word to people that say, oh, how's your rash going, right? This is so much more than a rash. This is such a mind fuck. This is such a mental problem, equally as bad as it is a physical one. I would even go that far and to say that, because the mental anguish that we go through is it's such turmoil that it causes. And it can affect our relationships. It definitely affects the relationship we have with ourselves. And I want to really take this time. I want you to listen to this episode, replay it 100 times if you have to, replay it every day if you have to, because doing this mental health check-in is going to really put things into perspective and really like help you breathe through the anxiety and the discomfort. And, I really want you to focus on your healing and not the anxiety, which again, so much easier said than done. You probably want to punch me through the phone, through the computer, whatever you're listening to, and be like, yeah, right. Okay. I get it. There's many days where I just want to curse at the world and say and the anxiety just creeps in and just takes over. But this is why we got to really prioritize our mental health. So over the years, whether you have had psoriasis or eczema or whatever it was that led you down the path of taking steroids, oral or topical, that has now caused you to have TSW or caused your loved one to have TSW, you're going through so many emotions and feelings, right? So you probably feel a lot of self-hatred, self-loathing, self-doubt. You probably feel super depressed and sad and at your lowest point. You probably just feel negative in general, right? I'm a very positive person generally, but this condition has definitely changed some of my perspectives. Not overall, it's not to my core, because to my core, I'm a very positive person, but it really does rock you and it rattles you and it changes you at times. So it's so important to dig yourself out of that hole and out of those dark places whenever we feel like we're spiraling. Okay. And I just want you to know that you are not alone. If you felt any of those ways or those feelings, those emotions, if you feel them right now, you are absolutely not alone. And I want to encourage you to take this month, today, of course, but this whole month, and make it a major focus on your mental health. It's easy to get wrapped up in the treatments, which obviously there are none, but for this at this time, but the new ideas of what modalities, what creams, what potions and lotions, and just all the things, like what do we want to try next to just give ourselves a little bit of comfort, a little bit of peace. It's very easy to focus on all the external, but I really want to encourage you to take today, if nothing else, take today or whenever you are listening to this and really focus on your mental health, because it truly does affect absolutely everything. So the reality of this god-awful thing is that this is a roller coaster of emotions, and it's not even, it doesn't even go in days or weeks. This goes minute by minute sometimes. And it really strips us from our confidence. So the one thing that I have struggled my whole entire life, I could say, I think, is with confidence. And the funniest thing is now, having TSW, tell me if you agree with this or not, but it sure as hell puts things into perspective. Like, if you looked back even a month before you started your TSW journey, maybe you were freaking out about having a zit. Maybe you I don't know, just like had a little bit of like a mosquito bite on, and you were self-conscious of that. Maybe it was like the most ridiculous, minute, tiny little thing. Does this not put, it's really big picture thinking here now, like, wow, what did we take for granted? So it's a humbling experience, right? But the reason that I didn't attend certain events, the reason that I didn't wear certain things, the reason that my mental health has plummeted so many times is because of my battle with eczema since I was a baby, my whole life. And maybe that's you too. Maybe you're resonating with that. And now TSW, it's been even worse, right? So I have to mentally force myself to get out of the house some days, to try to function like a normal person, with when your skin is ripped open and bleeding, or it's cracked, or it's after the ooze phase, if it's maybe like peely, or if it's scabbed up and crusty. I mean, listen, I think we can all agree here on this show. I tell it like it is. That's why you listen to me, I'm assuming, right? Because I'm kind of raw and rough around the edges. The reality is, sometimes we really look like shit. We feel like absolute dog shit, but we really do look really bad, sometimes really scary, right? And the thing is, we're all so beautiful. And I don't say that to be cheesy and whatever. I'm saying that because we're made in God's image. We are made unique and divine and just beautiful. And even when I now look at myself in the mirror when I'm having a massive flare-up, which I'm having very, very frequently, right? Because I'm still in the midst of this journey. I finally got to a place where I can actually look in my eyes and I can see and remember who I was, and even better than that, who I am right now. Because now I see somebody who's incredibly beautiful, who's so powerful, who is truly a warrior. We say that all the time. I say that in the show, but we're a different kind of breed of people. Okay. So I want to let you know that if you are not there, if you can't look at yourself in the mirror, if you can't give yourself a hug, if you can't love yourself, if you can't treat yourself with the same kindness that you would treat someone else with this awful disease, awful condition with, if you're not there yet, that's okay. But try to make it a goal to get there. And I want you to know that it is absolutely okay that you ask for help. I've been on my knees. I've asked for help as someone who's a perfectionist, who's a workaholic, who is a very I got it. I mean, that's the single mom in me. That's the entrepreneur in me. That's the go-getter, the hustler, the whatever. I was always someone who had and I still am, I have a very hard time asking for help. But what I've learned is that is not at all a sign of weakness. That's actually a sign of strength. So when you feel really weak, instead of going inward, hibernating, closing out the world, God forbid, doing something dangerous or harmful, please, it's never the answer. And there's always a better day ahead. And you always have people in your corner, always have people that support and love you. And it is absolutely important that you ask for help. It could be something as serious as what I just said, or it can be something as simple as, hey, you know what? I just need you to take my mind off this today. Can you tell me a joke? I need you to tell me our favorite memory that you have with me. Anything at all. It is okay. And more times than not, the people that you ask for help, they are so thrilled that you came to them. It can really increase your entire relationship and better that relationship. So please know that you must be okay with asking for help, for opening up, for using the resources that you have, the people that you know. That's critically important, okay? So what I wanted to share with you is a couple things that I do for my mental health, to look after my mental health. When I do a mental health check-in, I do a lot of things, okay? My mental health is a priority. You're going to hear on this show a ton of topics. We're going to cover mental health a lot, that being one of the big pillars of this TSW journey to healing, okay? If you ever need more resources, you can absolutely go to the blog, tswjourneytohealing.com. Certainly always reach out, leave comments, leave feedback, ask questions. We all want to get through this hell together, and we're going to, but we need to lean on each other sometimes. So some things that I do is number one, I'm going to say this. I love therapy. I am a huge advocate for therapy. Now, there's tons of kinds of therapy, right? There's traditional counseling and traditional therapy. There is somatic therapy. There is nutritional therapy. It goes on and on and on and on. I have been going to traditional psychology, I don't know if she's a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but anyway, I go to regular old therapy. And since the pandemic, it's been, virtual. And sorry, my chair is so squeaky right now. But it's been virtual. And if you can get face to face, definitely do that, because there is nothing like human interaction, like human to human, real person kind of contact. It's just so good for your mental health. But if you can't, that's okay. You're going to get just as powerful of breakthroughs and the help that you need. But make an appointment for therapy. A lot of therapy is covered by insurance. If it's not, and I know so many of us are out of work, money is so tight during this time, but there's a lot of great resources out there. So definitely reach out if you need help with that. But I highly encourage that. Talking about your feelings and what you're going through. Sometimes we feel like burdens to our family and friends. Sometimes we don't want that biased opinion. Sometimes we just really need an outside source. And sometimes we need, let's be honest, a professional to help give us the tools that we need to really fight the darn fight and to keep ourselves in check and to, have what we need to get through this, because no one, our friends and family who love us, they're not going through this. And while our therapist may not be going through this, they are trained professionals to help aid in this mental health journey. So can't sing it highly enough, okay? Another thing I do, number 2, would be I try to stay active. So we all know that exercise is good. Now, obviously, if you're at a stage of TSW where when you break a sweat, it causes major itch attacks. Here's the thing. Active doesn't mean a hardcore cardio workout. It doesn't mean pumping weights at the gym. It just means to be active. Being active could mean taking a walk, getting outside. That kind of is number 3. Number 2 and number 3 go into each other, because number 3 was to make sure you get your butt outside. But back on number 2 real quick. Being active and regular exercise will actually boost your self-esteem, believe it or not. I know some of you may listen to this and be like, ugh, exercise is like my demise. I hate it. I loathe it. People do not do exercise just to lose weight or to get a 6-pack. Okay. They're doing it because they understand that the connection with the mind and body is huge, and it really can boost your self-esteem. It does. It's proven to do that. Okay. It also can help you concentrate. It can help improve your sleep. It can just make you feel better overall. And if nothing else, if you just did a 15 or 20 minute little exercise, if you didn't do anything else that whole day, you will feel great that you accomplished something. Someone like me who has ADHD, who has terrible time focusing, who, is, like I said earlier, a perfectionist, so I can tend to beat myself up and not be very kind to myself. Sometimes just doing one thing, it's enough to make me feel like, oh my gosh, I did do something good today. I can pat myself on the back, okay? So the reality is that exercise it just keeps your brain and all the organs inside healthy. So there's so many significant benefits to that, but a huge one being it improves the state of your mental health, okay? And then part 3 or 2A or whatever we want to call it is to make sure you get outside. That is another proven thing. The sunlight, the vitamin D, we know that that's good. But in the world that we're living in, where everybody kind of hides behind their computer screens and they stay indoors, it's so darn unhealthy to do that. And, you may be hiding from the world right now because you're embarrassed of the way you look and you just don't feel good. And you can't sit still with someone without itching every 2 seconds. But you can still get outside and you can be by yourself and you can have those peaceful walks. You can do what I do. Sometimes I put headphones in. Sometimes I just meditate when I'm walking. Sometimes I have conversations with God. I'm a Jesus girl over here. So prayer and meditation are huge for me. Look at me. I can't. That's number 4. Okay. So number 4 is to tap into your higher power. Okay. Spirituality is, I choke so much of my healing right now to the only Lord and Savior that I know, which is, my God. Going through something like this, not only does it test you mentally, physically, in every possible way, but it also makes you realize humans, we're really fragile, right? And our bodies are incredible and they're designed by our Creator in such a magnificent way. But when you feel absolutely hopeless and you feel like your mental health is really being challenged, if you can just pause, focus on your breath and pray or meditate, that is going to help your mental health hugely. Okay. whatever point we're at next, the next one is to try your best to eat well. If you're a junk food eater, if you love to booze it up, I mean, listen, there ain't no shame in my game. I am the first to admit it that during this journey, I have tried eliminating things, elimination diets. I have tried adding things. The reality for me is that I swear by my supplements that I take. I mean, my journey has been so far, knock on wood, thanks to God, has been not nearly as bad as some others. It has been brutal. Do not get me wrong. Please do not mistake me. This has not been a walk in the park. This has been horrible for me. But I do think because I focus on a lot of prayer, I take my supplements, I try to drink a ton of water. I think that really helps. But eating well, my point here is to eat as clean as you can. What does that mean? It means eliminate as many processed foods from your diet. Don't eat all the high sugars, okay? Try to avoid the candy and the sweets and the treats. If you notice that, certain things bother you, like gluten or dairy or whatever, try to eliminate them. If you might have to eliminate them, right? It's hard to figure out what triggers are. That's a whole nother episode for another day, but eat well because your brain is going to need a lot of mix of nutrients to stay healthy and to function at its best, just like all the other organs in our body. So diet isn't just for, again, the body and the outward appearance. It is for your brain. And your brain is what? Your mental state, your mental health. Okay? Drinking sensibly, kind of still with that same point. Alcohol is a fun time. I'm not here to knock it. I'm Italian and Irish, so pretty much you name it, whether it's wine or tequila or champagne or anything in between, I'm here for it. But when we drink, it can not only change our mood, it dehydrates us, which makes us not feel so good. Some people, when they drink, they get very, very lonely, and, it's a downer. So just be aware of that. And, drink responsibly and go do it at your own risk, okay? Another thing that I do is I stay in touch with my friends. I have a tendency, I'm introverted, so I have a tendency of going big time, I go inward. My friends will sometimes call me out on this and say, hey, I've only called you 5 times. I know that you're seeing my calls and my texts. And then sometimes I have to smack myself in the head and be like, okay, I got to get back on it. Because staying in touch and catching up with friends, especially face to face, even though that might not always be possible, it is so good for you. Keeping the line of communication open with the people that were in your life before TSW are in your life presently, but maybe you've kind of withdrew, you went in and you have been avoiding people or conversations. Don't do that. Do your best to communicate, catch up, and stay in touch. The other thing that I do is I take a break. I give myself a break, okay? So sometimes, what do I mean by that? I mean like giving myself a pause. So let's say if you are able to work, making sure that you take plenty of breaks where you can, again, go for that walk or journal a little bit or, focus on something else. It is so good to de-stress you, to give yourself, that time. And along the same lines, making yourself a priority. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy because you're probably thinking, well, of course I'm a priority. I'm so self-absorbed because everything's revolving around me right now because of this damn disease and what I'm dealing with. And I feel like everybody's revolving around me and it makes me feel guilty and blah, blah, blah. Very fair, all fair things to feel. But when I say give yourself some me time, some you time, I mean really doing something that you enjoy, that has nothing to do with TSW, that has nothing to do with work. This could be, again, going for a walk. It could be knitting if you like to knit. It could be doing crossword puzzles if you like to do that, or doing a puzzle. It could be, rollerblading. It could be whatever you want. What it can't be is anything electronic, if possible, right? No blue light, no screen time, nothing on your phone. And it can't be something for someone else. This is something just for you. So doing that, again, is going to take your mind off of what you haven't been able to do. It's going to take your mind off of how bad you feel. It's going to take your mind off of work. It's going to take your mind off of everything else. And it's just going to be something that you do for you. Maybe that's getting a massage. Maybe it's going to the chiropractor. Maybe I can go on and on. Okay. So taking a break and giving yourself some me time is crucial. Okay. Another thing for your mental health check-in, something I do, is do something that you are good at. Like, what's something you love to do? What are some activities that you can completely lose yourself in? Like, what's something you loved doing in the past? If I've been thinking about this myself. I'm a musician since childhood, okay? I played the piano, the violin, the guitar, the drums. And when I say the guitar and the ukulele, I kind of self-taught myself. So I only played a couple songs here and there, but I'm not only obsessed with music, I'm obsessed with playing it, I'm obsessed with listening to it, I'm obsessed with musical instruments. I think they're all beautiful. I'm such a geek, I'm such a band nerd. And I haven't played them in years, okay? I was very, very, very good at the piano, especially, and the violin, very good. So I've been thinking, I'm going to get back, I'm going to pick one of these instruments and I'm going to do it. Because why? Because I'm good at it and I can lose myself in it. Now, I don't know how much I'm going to love practicing. It was never my favorite thing, but being able to to play a masterpiece, play some Mozart on the piano or some Beethoven, or play, my favorite theme song to a show that's a Netflix show or something like that on the violin or whatever. Like, it makes me feel proud of myself. It makes me feel good. So enjoying time with yourself, doing an activity that's something that you're good at, can really help you manage or even beat stress. Okay? And when you're doing something you're actually good at, it's also going to boost your self-esteem, which is going to make you feel good mentally, right? And then lastly, I think I could give you a lot more tips than this, and I'm sure I will at another episode, but I want you to accept who you are right here, right now. Not the you in the past, not the you in the future, but you here today. The TSW sufferer, the person who is going through the trenches, who is battling the toughest thing in their entire life. The truth is, we are all in different stages and places of this thing, but we are all warriors. We are all beautiful people that are so incredibly strong. And we don't need to look backwards, forwards, left, right, up and down. We don't need to compare ourselves. We never can compare ourselves to anyone, because the reality is accepting and loving who we are right now, being able to look in the mirror and say, you are beautiful. Your skin is beautiful. You are a champion, is going to speed up your healing. Like, no question about it. And it's also going to, what you think you become, what you speak. You ever hear the saying, what you speak becomes reality? What you speak into existence becomes real. There's actually, if you go to tswjourneytohealing.com and you go to the shop link and you click books, there's a phenomenal book in there called, what's it called? How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One, I think it's called. It literally is proven scientifically, okay, that we can go from thinking to doing to being. We can actually skip the middle step and we can just go right from thinking to being. We can actually create our life. We can help our outcome. We can help our healing. So bottom line is, we have to love who we are right now in order to ever love who we're going to become. We have to act as if. We have to be that person right here, right now. Again, might be easier said than done, okay? It's just really, really healthy to accept that you are unique. And this experience is crazy unique. Even though all of us are in it together, we are all going through it in our own way. And so we all have these own unique journeys, okay? So to sit there and wish we were like someone else, or to wish we didn't have this, or to wish we were who we were before this, or wish we could speed this up, that's us wishing our life away. That's not making every moment count. And even though they feel like hell, and you might be cursing at me right now, being like, you're still here, you're alive, and you have a purpose, and you need to accept who you are, because feeling good about yourself is just going to help your mental state, your mental health, boost your confidence. It's going to help put you in a better place for that healing, okay? And it's going to inspire the heck out of everyone around you. And you know what happens when that happens? I was just celebrating my son's birthday a little bit early with my family this past weekend, and I was told by a few of them that they think I'm one of the most inspiring people that they know. And it just brought tears to my eyes because here I am just living my life, showing up, looking the way I look, which is not always super pretty. But that's on the surface, and I know who I am deep down, and it just feels really good. So that boosted my self-esteem, my confidence, and it helps me love myself even more. So get around people, talk about what's going on, accept who you are, ask for help, eat healthy and well, stay active, go to therapy. Jesus, I can't say it enough. It's so great. It's so wonderful. Get in the It's and support group. Get on the blog, do your research, help yourself along this journey. And please go to the blog, tswjourneytohealing.com, and put in your email so that you can get on the first notice list, wait list or whatever, because I am creating something for your mental health, for your overall healing journey that I cannot wait to release. It's a super specific item that is just for us cool kids that are in this TSW club. And it's going to be a keepsake for you, something you'll have, something that you can use to track things. I really do believe it's going to be such an amazing, powerful tool for everybody in the TSW community, all the people, all of us suffering. And I can't wait to release that. So if you have questions on that, shoot me an email, contact me from the website and the blog. Definitely, if you haven't already, please rate, review, subscribe to the show. If you're listening to this on YouTube, be sure to like the channel or subscribe to the channel and share the word, spread the message, share this show. I appreciate you for being here. I am sending you all my love and my light. Please, please take this month of May, and take every month for that matter, and focus on you and your mental health. Give yourself that mental health check-in. You deserve it because there's only you. There's only one you, and you matter.